Good morning and welcome to Rosebud Homestead out on our back patio. As you can see, we're not in the kitchen, but I want you to take a quick look at the backyard. Notice especially that grass. We have 5 or 6 years ago, water is so expensive in our little town that we were forced to take out our grass. We just let it die. And we have let native grasses come in, and that's what we were really fostering this year. However, there's a big caveat here. Watch the video coming up next time for Firewise Homes to see what happens to this grass. So before we actually get started on today's video, I just wanted to remind you that it is Pam's Happy Birthday book sale, 30% off of everything, and it closes tomorrow at midnight Mountain Time. It's been going for 2 or 3 days, and I hope that you're taking advantage of this. This is the lowest price, sale price that we have, which is my birthday bash sale and Jim's birthday bash sale in December. So today, what we are going to do is by request from some of our viewers. A few videos ago, we did one on stop kneading your bread dough, do this instead, where I demonstrated the stretch and fold method that takes the place of regular kneading. And in that video, I said you can use this if you no longer have the strength to do it by hand, or if you don't have a stand mixer, or if the grid is down. And several people commented on the fact that I said the grid is down and then turned around and baked the bread in my electric oven. One of those people was one of our subscribers, Martha, who is a good friend to our channel. And she said, I would love to see you do a video to show how the pioneers used to make bread. Well, Martha, I thought about that a lot, and I responded to your comment. And while I do absolutely admire what the pioneer women had to do to cook, to prepare meals, to bake bread, there's no way I want to revert back to those days. I admire them. If we ever have to go off grid for a long time, knowing how to bake bread off grid is an important skill. For me, I want to always provide bread for my family. A lot of people won't be making bread on their own. They will revert to doing quick breads like biscuits or flat breads like tortillas or pizza dough, things like that. But there are many of us out there who want to continue doing yeast breads. And so today I'm going to be showing how to do one of the recipes from our bread book. And this is oatmeal bread that uses rolled oats as part of the recipe, only I use our rolled 6-grain cereal for this. And to do that, I need to boil some water, which I'm going to show you. Everything that we do today is going to be off grid. So Martha, I hope this satisfies part of what you were asking for, because I am going to use some more modern conveniences that our pioneer foremothers did not have when they were doing things. And if any of you want to revert back to that time to prepare for a grid down situation, be my guest. But I, for one, really do value the more modern conveniences that help out and save time and are a little bit more efficient. So here, I'm going to just put this right back over here to remind you of our book sale and give you kind of a rundown on what we're going to be doing here today. First of all, I have my Kelly kettle. That's what I'm going to boil the water for. The water, boiling water, needs to be poured in this little pot to soften the rolled cereal. So I have some sticks and a fire starter down at the bottom here. And we've shown the Kelly kettle before. I love the Kelly kettle. So I'm going to just start this fire. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just putting the kettle on the top. Now, it has a water space in there. There's an inner liner and this outer liner that holds about a gallon of water. And then the fire and the smoke will be coming out here. It boils water really, really fast. So we're going to let it do its thing while we get some other things ready. I'm going to be mixing by hand in my favorite 40 or 50-year-old bread pan and a wooden spoon. I am going to use my scale, which is a more modern invention, to measure out the flour. I have all of our other ingredients here, and these are all things that we would have in food storage. Now, this came from our refrigerator, and as many of you know, Jim and I have a setup to keep our freezers and refrigerators going in the event of a long-term grid down situation. And so this milk is cold milk. Now, if I did not have that, I have plenty of powdered milk that I could use instead. But everything else is right out of our pantry, so we'll be using those things. I'm going to be using my regular bread pan, but I'm going to be actually cooking this in my 12-inch Dutch oven. Now, when you do baking in a Dutch oven like this, you need a rack in the bottom to put the pans on. If you don't have a rack, you can just do what I did. I just have some canning lids in there. And so when we put this over on the cooking table, then this bread pan will go down on top of the rings, and then we'll put the lid on. And hopefully, it won't rise so much that it rises into the lid. It might. We don't know yet. So Jim is going to take over the baking part and get everything ready for us so that we'll be ready. So I am going to use, then I just have some running water available if needed. Okay, that water sounds to me like it is boiling. Almost. I only filled it about half full because I only need 3/4 of a cup, and I have my cup right here. All right, so checking the recipe, it takes 432 grams of bread flour. So I'll do that right now. So when I turn my scale on with the bowl on top of it, it zeroes out the weight of the bowl. So 432 is what we are wanting. And that's it exactly. And then I'm going to put in the salt, the yeast, and the brown sugar. Sometimes I use honey, sometimes I use brown sugar. Put the scale aside, and I'm going to mix the dry ingredients. One person commented, I didn't think that salt and yeast were supposed to be put in at the same time. I've read that too. I used to do that, and then I got tired of taking the extra time to do that, so I just add both of them together, and it has not made one bit of difference that I can see with the way that I bake bread. But it's your kitchen, so do what you think is best for you. Okay, we've got boiling water over there. Take it off the fire. That was a little sloppy. And pour that in over the oats, over the 6-grain cereal, stir it up. And we're going to put the lid on that. And by the way, I stearined our whole tabletop this morning, so everything is super clean. So we're just going to let that sit for a minute. And then I'm going to add the butter. This is 2 tablespoons of butter. It was 2 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of either honey or brown sugar. And the recipe is in our book on page 35. So the next thing to do is we're going to just wait until the oats are ready for us. Okay, they've absorbed all of that water. And to cool them down so it doesn't kill the yeast, I'm going to pour the milk into the oats. Okay, it's cool enough that I can handle it. All right, the whole thing is going in. And now we're going to do our mixing. Now, in the other video where I showed this stretch and fold method, I'm going to link that video to the end of this video so that you can review that if you would like to. But we stir this and mix it with a wooden spoon as long as we can until it sort of comes together in a ball. Now this is a recipe that I usually always do my stand mixer with. I have never used the stretch and fold method for kneading with this particular recipe, but this will be another demonstration of how we can use it for just about any recipe. All right, so the dough has come together, so the next thing that we need to do is the caterpillar, which is further mixing. And we do that by just pinching in segments like a caterpillar, folding it over on itself, and then pinching it again. Fold it over on itself, pinch again, fold it over on itself, and pinch again. Okay, so now it's pretty thoroughly mixed. Now we're going to begin the kneading process. No, it isn't thoroughly mixed. I just came to some brown sugar. I'm going to do it a couple more times. Okay, you can see that this is kind of a sticky dough. We'll watch and see what happens as we do the stretch and fold. Okay, now, actually, I'm going to put just a little bit more flour. To get rid of some of that stickiness. Okay, here we go with our first stretch and fold. I'm going to do stretch and fold 4 times. So here's 1, and it's kind of fallen apart. That's okay because the gluten has not been strengthened yet. Here's 2. Very easy to do the stretch and fold at this point. It should get progressively more difficult. That was 3. And I'm going to add a tiny bit more flour. And so here's the last one. Here's 4. And I'm going to turn it over. Okay, I can see a disadvantage of doing things out here off grid. I do need running water to wash my hands with. So I also need a cover for this. I'm going to use this tea towel. And I'm going to put 1 marker right there for we have done the first stretch and fold. So we have 3 more stretch and folds to go. So I'm going to use a little bit of this water to wash my hands off camera. Well, I didn't do it off camera. So, in a note to myself, if I'm going to be doing off-grid demonstrations, I'm going to need a separate bowl to use as a wash basin and a cloth out here so that I have access to that. So Jim just made a good suggestion that I can use this lid to put over the top here to make sure that this doesn't blow away. So I'm going to set the timer. All right, got it. So we'll be back in 15 minutes to do the next stretch and fold. All right, we are now on stretch and fold 3. We skipped 2 just to save a little bit of time, but the dough is already changing texture. You can see that it's rising a little bit. So I'm going to do the 3rd one, and I am going to sprinkle just a tad of flour on the top. Okay, so here we go. Notice the stretch on this. The gluten is much stronger than it was when we first started. So here's number 2 and number 3. Oh, harder and harder. And number 4. Okay. And so here is 3 we just finished. Jim has the charcoal going over there, getting our oven ready. Now, a couple of things that we've already noticed. I have my basin set up out here with my running water. We are really lucky at our place because our water source runs straight down our street, and it is gravity fed. It comes from a spring, so no pump is needed to get the water into the holding tank. The holding tank is up on the hill, and we are gravity fed. So what they say is that even in a power outage, we will be able to have water to our house. So we're blessed in that way. The other thing here is wind has come up. It's blown some things over, which is why I'm now wearing on my mic this little sound diffuser. Also the flies. We have nothing to protect us from the flies, and so we're being very careful to cover things as we go so the flies can't get in. So we will be back for number 4 because number 4 stretch and fold, and right after that then we will put it in here to rise. So we'll be back then. Here we are for our 4th stretch and fold. So I'm just going to put the marker right there. And this is what it looks like. So here we do our 4 stretches. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Here's the 3rd stretch and the 4th stretch. And now we do the bulk fermentation. So this has taken the place of regular kneading. So we're done with that. And this is going in here. I'm going to be punching it down. And we will leave it out here. And I have this nice metric on the side so I can judge when it has doubled in size. We'll be back when this is doubled in size and ready to shape. Meanwhile, I'm going to wash this off grid in my little basin right here that I have. So I'm going to let it soak for a little while. So we'll be back soon. We go. Look at this. Wow, did it ever rise? So we have good gluten development. So our stretch and fold worked just great. And now we're going to shape it. And I have my glass cutting board here with just a little flour on it. I'm going to pull this out. And just a tad of flour, just so my hands don't stick too much to it. And we're going to degas it somewhat. Oh, this is beautiful dough. My fear is it's going to rise higher than that Dutch oven. We have a number of ways that we can bake bread. We've got wind.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that chair there.
Okay, now I'm going to tuck in the ends. This pan has been sprayed, so I'm going to arch it up and then flatten it down. And this is one of my food covers. They are throwaway shower caps, which never touch the dough. And so I'm not worried about the plastic. One person said she cringes every time she sees me cover bread with either a grocery bag or with the throwaway shower caps that I use for food covers. In terms of the grocery bags, I spray them with Stearamine and let them completely dry. So they're very clean and they never touch the dough. Neither does this. And so we're going to let this rise until it's ready to put in. And Jim is already working with the Dutch oven to be sure it's up to temperature before we get it in. So we will see you very soon.
All right. I've been preheating our Dutch oven. And one of the things we found last time that we did this
was that if we just let it go, then all the way to where it was nothing, then we ended up running out of heat. So about a half hour ago, maybe 45 minutes, I put some of the brochettes down here underneath the Dutch oven and on top. The specified number, 8 for the bottom and then 19 for the top.
For 375 Fahrenheit.
For 375 Fahrenheit. Right now, it is preheated at 196. So I need to go ahead and put more of the ones that I just started about 20 minutes ago on and around the our Dutch oven. So one of the things I'm going to do is lift up and put 8 more down here. That's, what is that, 6, 7, 8, and put that back up. And then these are pretty well gone. So what I'm going to try to do is, if I can, all right. It's easier to do this way. The temperature should be rising fairly quickly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put another 29 briquettes back in our chimney, wait for probably 15 or 20 minutes, and do another light. Let's see what the temperature is right now. 195. Now, the temperature in the preheat should be rising fairly quickly. And what I will do is put another 29 from this bucket in here so we have it ready to start all over again when the temperature starts to drop.
So here is our bread. I'm going to take off the cover, and if I hold it up to my eyes, and it is an inch above the edge of the pan, that means it's ready to go in, which now it is ready to go in. So I'm going to take it over there, and we'll lift off the lid and get that put in. Even though the oven isn't all the way up to temperature, we have to get the bread in, otherwise it's going to overrise.
And Pam is removing the lid and putting it over, and then she'll go ahead and put the bread in. And putting the lid back on. And
Temperature right now,
is what?
235.
235. Okay, it's really dropped.
Well,
So-
plus the bread cooled
Yeah,
it down when I took the lid
Yeah,
off.
when you took it off.
Yeah.
Part of what we're going to have to do is monitor the bread via the temperature, and I'm going to go ahead and start pretty soon another charcoal run
For backup.
for backup.
I think that's a great idea. All right, we'll come back soon. All right, well, once again, we've struggled getting the temperature right, and we're going to just forget what Lodge says on their little chart because we can never get it up to temperature. We finally checked the temperature. See, it was browning a little bit too much on the top, so we moved some of the top ones to the bottom and then put some more on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and get it out. It's up to temperature, and let's take it over here and see what we've got. Okay, so let's turn it out. Oh, good.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
It's beautiful. So I think we have a pretty good success with this. Now, we're going to let it cool, and I'm actually going to take it in the house because I don't want the flies to get to it. So I'm going to take it in the house, and after it's cool, we'll bring you back and we'll open it up and see what the crumb looks like. So we'll see you very soon. Well, here we are, and it is cooled for about a half an hour, and that's good enough. So we're just going to see what the crumb looks like on this, and then I think Jim and I are going to have a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch using this bread. So, get it over here. And that's what it looks like.
It's a halfway decent crumb.
It is beautiful, beautiful. A little brown on the top, but not anything to complain about whatsoever. So here are a couple of things that we've learned. Now, we have done this before. It had been a while since we cooked bread out there on in a Dutch oven. And we always try to follow the Lodge recommendations for the number of charcoal briquettes to reach a certain oven point. And every single time we've done this, it's never hot enough. And so we've just decided we're going to abandon what Lodge says. And if it works for you, that is great, but it has not worked for us. So Jim has just decided he's going to do about a half of a chimney full of charcoal briquettes. We're not going to put so many on the top. We're going to put more on the bottom when we do baking. Now, when we do other things, like I don't know what we might do, I think we're going to start doing some more off-grid cooking so that we can get used to that. But we're just going to kind of do our own thing. We're getting experienced enough that we can sort of follow our own intuition. When you're just brand new at things, you sort of want to follow somebody else's directions. But now we've done it enough that we're just going to sort of branch out on our own and do what we think works best for us. Then I wanted to just reiterate, this is just one way we have of baking bread. We have a propane outdoor oven that we can use. We have a Coleman camp oven that goes over a gas flame. Like on a Coleman stove, we don't have a Coleman stove. Well, I guess we do, we just don't ever use it. But we could use it on our canning stove, or we could put it on top of our rocket stove. The downside of that is a little bit of smoke gets into the oven and can flavor the bread. And then we have our sun oven, and I've done bread very successfully in the sun oven. We have some videos on that. So this was start to finish a beautiful loaf of bread off-grid totally. So I hope that this will be of interest to those of you who were concerned that I showed an off-grid way how to do kneading and then put it in my electric oven. So thank you so much for being with us, and it's good for all of us to attempt to do things off-grid so we can be in practice when and if the time comes that we have to do it for real. So thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you very soon for more videos.